Hello, this is Flower of Life podcast. I'm Carmen Fernandez, and today my guest is Monica Barnes. Monica is a seventh generation medium on her mother's side. She met her husband very young and they got married and were traveling for 14 years around the United States and Europe. She does readings and spiritual counseling, and she also has a podcast and is writing her book. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you for having me, Carmen.
I'm so grateful for having you here.
You're adorable. I love you.
Tell us about how is life as a medium?
It can be very tough, especially when you're young. Really tough when you're young and have conversations and experiences, and you know them to be real, and you go to tell people, and they look at you funny because to them it's not real. Also, when everything's energy. Let me just start there. Everything is energy. Everything is constantly moving. Even if you took a microscope to a boulder, you would think that's solid, but it's not. It's moving. So when you look at that microscope, you'll see it constantly moving. So for somebody who reads energy, that's what psychics and mediums do. And I always say this: not every psychic is a medium, but every medium is a psychic. You were reading energy. That's it. And so when the two lowest forms of energy here on earth is life coming in and life going out. And as I've spoken before, that we predict deaths very easy when we're young. And people blame us. People have a hard time separating, and then we blame ourselves because it's hard as a kid because you're like, did I cause that? You know, I remember one time when I was a kid, I kept on trying to get my dad to leave a party because I saw our beloved dog getting hit by a car, but I knew there was time. Dad, maxes out. He's gonna get hit. I kept on. I'm like, Dad. I was a little kid, and he's like, wait, let me finish the story. Wait, let me finish the story. And when we got home, the woman was just getting out of the car. She just hit him. Oh. And my dad loved this dog. Oh God, did he love this dog? And I just remember him picking Max up and just saying, I had to tell one more story. I just had to tell one more story. And we buried Max in the backyard, and my dad didn't talk to me for months. Yeah, so that part's hard. Yeah.
And how do you realize that you had these psychic abilities?
Well, like I said, on my or you read earlier, my mom's side had the abilities. Everyone has been approached by they call it the lady in black, and she beckons you, and we all, I guess, see it as an omen, but one generation does not tell the other generation. You don't find out about it until you're beckoned, and then you talk about it as a kid. And we look at it as the dark side beckoning, probably, as most likely, seeing if you will come over to the dark side. But everyone knows about it. And then the funny thing is, we talk about it like my great-grandfather, he used to work and come home the same time every day. First thing he would do was open up the fridge, get out a drink, and what is that really stinky cheese that I can't remember the name of that cheese. It's just horrible smelling. And then he'd have some of that, some bread, and that was his snack before dinner and everything. And unfortunately, he died young, comparatively. And for a long time, you'd hear the side door open, the fridge, and then the house would just fill up with that smell of that cheese. And it got to where my grandma, my great-grandma, my mom, and then we're like, oh, come on, we can't handle this anymore. Stop smelling up the house, They would talk about it, and refer to people. And the funny thing is, I used to talk about my blue lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a woman that was always with me. She was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Her hair was done up in this chiffon bun, and the Victorian dress, and a cameo at her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother believed me, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like, she did research on our house. Is a very old ranch house in LA. I was already over 100 years old, and so she took me down to the city hall. We did
Mm-hmm.
research on who owned it. I mean, my mom kept on doing research and trying to figure out who my blue lady was.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I came home from school, and my mom and my great grandma were in the main living room. You know, that room you don't play in.
Yeah.
And they were hanging a picture, and I fell back, and I'm like, that's my blue lady.
Wow.
It was her, perfectly her. And my great grandmother turned around and she goes, well, that's my mother. And so my blue lady was my great great grandmother. And so she was the one that looked over me. She was the one that taught me. And it turns out she was the strongest medium in the family for forever. And she actually helped her family during the Depression and stuff like that do readings for other immigrants in New York, because all the immigrants kind of lived in the same building in the same area in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so for food and different things, she would read tea leaves because people liked that, or she would read palm. Even though she was a medium, she would use things that different immigrants knew from their culture.
Oh, wow.
So whatever was appropriate from England, whatever was appropriate from Ireland, whatever is from
Yes.
Italy, she would use those, but she was a medium. And so she would read to
Mm-hmm.
help get the family, but she was even before that, because she came over even before that, but she through time would read.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm then the next strongest in my family. So it's
Wow.
her.
Mm-hmm.
Hers on me. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. And what kind of questions ask people the most when they go for a reading and they ask you to do a reading?
They mostly want to talk to their loved ones that have passed over.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's usually always the biggest one, I would say. Um, it's loss and grief,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to know if they're okay,
Mm-hmm.
if they made it to the other side, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, that's what I would say is the most asked.
Do you think people can develop those psychic abilities, or is that something you has to be born with?
Oh, I believe everyone's psychic. Everyone can read energy. Everyone. I believe that everyone, like I said, not all psychics are but all mediums are psychic. So I believe everyone has the ability. I definitely believe in what we call female intuition, which
Mm-hmm.
is a very big form of psychic ability. I don't believe we could be good mothers. I don't believe we could be good female partners if we didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, the yin and the yang of male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Men, and this is nothing against men, but men are not very emotional in how they move through things.
Mm-hmm.
They just go from one thing to the next. It's kind of like playing American football.
Yes.
You get from the 50-yard line,
Mm-hmm.
to the 40, to that's how they work.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't have like a female intuition to navigate through other areas,
Mm-hmm.
they'd be lost a lot of the time. So women are needed here
Mm-hmm.
to have that. Whoa, hey, you might want to think about that.
Yes.
You might, hey, feel that. Actually have a
Yes.
moment to feel it. That's what it is. And what I mean by feeling is read the energy.
Yes, yes, reading. I like the reading. How can we become more attuned to the energies, or to learn how to read the energies?
It's about quieting the mind
Mm-hmm.
and raising your energy level. For the other side to speak to you, because they vibrate at such a high frequency,
Mm-hmm.
I have to raise my energy and they have to lower theirs.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I say medium literally means medium. You're in the middle.
Okay.
So I'm in between the lower frequency of earth bound, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're lower. So I'm meeting them in the middle to
Mm-hmm.
communicate.
Yes.
Uh, and then I have to quiet things down. But the funny thing is, by raising my energy, it is a high. It's a vibrational high. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, when I do finish reading, I'm like, woo,
Yes.
vibrating. But I have to use all the senses, and I call the seven senses. And some people go, well, no, there's only five, and I'm like, no, there are two different ways of feeling. There are
Mm-hmm.
tactile feeling, and then there is um, a feeling inside, a feeling of what they are showing me inside. They can show me grief. They can show me happiness. There is the other feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So there are these senses. So I have to let them communicate with me the way they need to. Um, so I do have my husband. I drive him a little crazy because I do, when I talk to people, I'm like, does this make sense? Even when I'm talking in just general, because when I'm communicating, I'm asking somebody, does this make sense? Because I'm trying to explain an emotion. I'm trying to explain a feeling. I'm trying to explain something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to start communicating better with your guides, with angels, with your loved ones, then you
Mm-hmm.
need to uh, quiet the mind and raise your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Just and it's I have taught people how,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is, I want to tell people this real quick. No, you're not going deaf. As as you raise your vibrational energy to hear
Yes.
them, you start to lose your hearing of the lower.
Oh,
But
yes.
and it's so funny because people come to me and they're like, I feel like I'm losing my hearing here. I'm like, no, you learn to hear higher, you lose
Yes.
your low.
Yes.
So if you're doing it right, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Like, so if you quiet your mind, then that's the way to raise your vibration, right?
Yes.
Mm. Sometimes it happens to me that when I have strong feelings, I kind of hear something. Like, I think I'm hearing energy. That's how I. Um,
Yes. And the thing is, ask there. I mean, there is a saying for a reason in the, ask and you shall receive. It's true.
yeah.
So you say, you know what, I'm going to raise my energy. Will you please lower your energy so
Mm-hmm.
we can communicate? And they
Yes.
will do.
And do you think everybody has their the guides, or only people who are like mediums they have
Oh no,
guides?
everybody guides. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's a contract you signed with your soul group. So no,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has guides. It depends and it depends on how many guides you have at different parts and time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always have at least one
Mm-hmm.
that's you always, but you might be going through a different process time in your life where you need more
Mm-hmm.
to back you up and to teach you what they might have come here and done a couple of different lifetimes and have knowledge, and now you need them to help you through something they know they have a so your guides do change how many and who at different times in your life.
It's depending of your challenges you're going through, or the stage on of your
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And um, how, when you get information, when you do your readings, you get information from your guides or from the other person's guide? The other person guides? From both?
Both. And the thing is, and I have to tell people, I will not, when I do a reading, I will not remember later on. This is why I tell people, ask questions now, don't wait. Record it, write it down, whatever, because I will not remember it later on, because this information is for you. It is not information for me. If I remembered everything I read, every reading, my brain would explode. I can't retain, I can barely retain my own name on some days. When they're like, do you remember when? And I just glaze over, and they're just, you don't remember. I'm like, no. But I do love it when they call me and they go, oh my God, you were right. And I'm like, they were right.
Yes.
I'm the radio queen. But I do love it, when people, yay, I'm like, good. I'm glad that you got what you needed.
Yes.
That they got what you needed.
And do you think that we're all here with a purpose?
Yes. We all are. We're all here for a purpose. I find it interesting that, this is the illusion. This life is the illusion. Real life is on the other side of the veil. This is the illusion, the game. We're here, and I'll keep repeating this until the day I die. We're here to live, laugh, love. That's why we're sent here. And we forget that we're spiritual beings, souls, having a human experience. We get that backwards. And if we could all turn it around and remember we're souls, we're spiritual beings, we would all do so much better. Including myself, we just get wrapped up into the human experience because of what we were given, emotions. And so if that's what we're here for, is if we could, is to learn that lesson of that we're souls. But my question is, and this is a big question, if you are God, God, you can say universe, you can use whatever. I do not put my place on anybody else. I always say this because it's true. If you are God and you are everything, how do you know what you are? Right?
Yes.
You create something in your image to experience everything. Not look, energy. All right? So the falling in heaven, the angels, the whole thing, because God gave us the one thing he didn't give them, free will. But we had to have free will. So he could understand what light and dark was, what good and what bad was, what happiness and sadness was, and in the yang. So that's what we're here for. We're not here to be damned, condemned, damnation, this whole thing. God loves you, but he's here to punish you, but you must. He loves you unconditionally. Fear him. No, that's not it, right? So that's why we're here. We're here to experience it, to live it, to laugh it, to love it.
Yeah, I love that.
We're here so he knows who he is, or she is, or it is. All right? So that's it. So that's why, laughing, that's why I love laughing, because laugh, that high you get, that laugh when that infectious laugh where you just can't stop.
Yes.
And it's a high like almost like no other, right? And you're like, God, I wish I could stay here in this, that's the high. That's it. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Or when you're first in love, you're so Twitter-pated, and there's all these beautiful, wonderful moments of being here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to enjoy those.
Yes, I agree with you. I love laughing, and there is a good, even you feel good when you laugh, even if there is no, you don't need the reason to laugh or
No,
smile, or, and it makes you feel good.
it does.
Yeah.
So, that's what we have to remember. Try to remind each other.
Mhm. Tell me
Especially the
about your podcast.
Okay, so my podcast is Selfaholic, and what it is about is helping others to become addicted to finding
Mhm.
their true selves, because that is something I have found not only for myself when I started a journey when I was young, but also for others I've helped, is that once you do
Mhm.
get on that path of knowledge, of tapping into your higher self, tapping into your soul, and raising your energy,
Mhm.
it does become an addiction, a
Yes.
beautiful addiction. You're like, oh, what's the next book? What's the next step? Give me, give me, give me. And your energy starts to just raise and get higher and higher.
Mhm.
And you're just like, let's go.
Yes.
My podcast is about is finding out about ways and information, and hopefully having a lot of fun doing it,
Mm.
on how you can find your true self
Mm.
and becoming addicted to it.
Yes. This is a great feeling when you really know who you are.
Yes,
Like I remember I was feeling lost, and then I had the reading with you, and that completely changed my life.
that's awesome.
Like,
That's awesome.
and that's awesome, a feeling that you're like, when you know who you are and what you're here for,
Hmm.
and that everything has a, and that you have a mission. And
Yes,
before that, I was all my life like feeling lost and didn't know what I was doing, jumping from one thing to another.
I remember we were on that group Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
and you said something, but I could just feel your energy. You were going to pull out of the group. And I was like, no. I mean, your guys were screaming. They're screaming at me, don't let her go. Don't let her quit. And I'm typing in the comment. Again, I'm so technically, I'm just now getting, where I know it. And no, no, no. I was like, I'll help. I'll help. So I was glad I could help. Again, I can help through them. I'm glad you stayed.
And what about your book? I know that you were writing a book. You're working on writing a book. Tell me
Yeah.
about your book.
Well, the book I'm writing is actually a children's book and series, which I know people wouldn't think with me, but it's actually about a very eh, really energetic, awesome little girl who, she's your typical young girl, and but she finds out that she has uh, powers
Mm-hmm.
through her family, and that it goes generation to generation, and that she's the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to be beautiful is that her name's Violet.
Mm-hmm.
And she has violet eyes and red hair, and she's just awesome. But it's that she finds out that her powers, though, and what her family, the women in her family throughout history, have been uh, helping those that needed help. And it's going to be really fun and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's about this, self-power, self-enlightenment, and finding your purpose through helping others.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yes.
Really fun, cool journeys.
What is the legacy you want to leave behind?
Uh, it's actually what I was saying earlier, a very easy one that I helped, that I hope I helped people,
Mm-hmm.
that I helped people find their souls, their path, help them live a much higher, better life
Mm-hmm.
that they enjoyed much better. like, again, live, laugh, love.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's it, really. I don't need the grandeur, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not taking it away from anybody that's done it, because somebody's got to do it.
Yes.
Um, just already I've lived a very cool life,
Mm-hmm.
really cool life. And that's my thing. I'll just, keep living a cool life and show others to do it.
I know you were reading this book, Conversation with God,
Oh, yeah. Well,
and that was a very interesting experience. Can you tell us about that?
yeah. Well, yeah, you're asking. So you're talking about aha moments. And
Mm-hmm.
I was very blessed at a very young age to come across people and knowledge, to enlightenment, to understand things. And so I was very young when I read, I call it CG1, because there are a couple of conversations with gods, but this was number one. And we had a place up in Big Bear, and I actually was up there on the lake, and I had my dog Bear, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I was up there by myself. I needed a little time to myself, so I went up there for a couple of days. And I was reading Conversations with God 1, and for the first time. And Neil, when you read the book, it's Neil Donald Walsh, the writer, and he's having, he found out he was giving up on life, basically. And you'll find out if you read the book. And he starts having a conversation with God, writing
Mm-hmm.
and getting answers back. And he says, with God, God says, ask and you shall receive.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, I've always wanted to be healthy. I've always wanted to be wealthy. And God said, so therefore you shall never be.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil's like, what the? And he says, wait a minute, you said ask and you shall receive. And he says, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil says something about, like, I'm about ready to chuck this book, what he's writing on, and I'm about ready to chuck this book across the room that I'm reading. And God says, ask and you shall receive. So God says, if you always want to be healthy and you always want to be wealthy, therefore you will always want
Oh,
those.
yes.
If you are wealthy and you are healthy, then you will be those.
Mm-hmm.
And for a young 20-something-year-old that I was at the time, trying to climb through where you are in your early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It was my aha moment. It was, that major moment in my life where I went, oh, and I just remember, like, coming out of my body, almost like just having that whoa moment. And so
Mm-hmm.
I put the book down, took my dog Bear, and we were walking, and I think it was close to Thanksgiving time. Anyways, I think everyone was going to come up later that week. And I was walking the beach with Bear, and I looked up, and all of a sudden the clouds changed, and it was like something out of a movie. And the clouds started to rearrange and change, and then all of a sudden the most incredible dragon
Mm-hmm.
appeared in the cloud.
Wow.
And I remember just standing there and floating, just
Mm.
started floating up into the sky and touching this dragon.
Wow.
And remembering that, and having like a conversation with this dragon,
Mm-hmm.
how my life was going to change and what I was here
Mm-hmm.
for. And I think by opening myself up through reading what I was reading, opened me up to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back down, and I went back and finished conversations with God by the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but that was my aha moment
Mm-hmm.
of turning,
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely turning my life around from, I had always, I had worked 3 jobs, was going to call, I was just always nose to the ground. I got pushed through my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, no, 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 no. You don't need to push.
Yeah.
You need to live.
Yes, I love that.
It will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you just live, your life comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed. That's what I mean. I stopped being a depressed young lady,
Mm-hmm.
depressed, angry
Mm-hmm.
young lady. I changed.
Wow.
So, I mean, when I said that was my aha moment.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give um to especially to women who feel lost, don't know where they are? Um,
I meet them every day, um, and it breaks my heart. What I would say is, you need to become selfish.
mm,
You need to stop doing everything for everybody else.
mhm,
That saying, like the airplane, you need to put your mask on first.
mhm,
Put your mask on and start taking care of yourself. You are no good to anybody else if you're not good to yourself.
mhm,
One of the number one reason women feel lost is because we're caretakers.
mhm,
We're taught to take care of everyone else, not ourselves. We feel guilty
mhm,
if we take care of ourselves first. Stop feeling guilty. Um, Guilty means you've done something wrong.
mhm,
Have you done something wrong? No, you haven't. So stop feeling guilty. Get rid of guilt.
mhm,
Take care of yourself. Start finding what makes you happy. What are you good at? You and I were talking earlier. Uh, what are you good at? Don't look at what you're not good at.
mhm,
We're all not good at something, right? We're all not good at probably a lot of things, but we're good at something, at least
mhm,
one thing. So what are you good at? What makes you happy? And
mhm.
focus on that and be selfish.
Yeah.
You know, I have a friend, my best friend, just love her, and we call her a recovering Catholic. You know, she was raised to condemn herself, and and all this, and she her family, she was a teacher for 30 years. So talk about giving,
Mhm,
right? And so between being that teacher that gave constantly nonstop and her family and giving constantly nonstop, um, it literally almost killed her. And it was killing her. When I met her, it was killing her.
mhm,
I went out and I made a sign, a big sign that, like those slippery when wets when you go into a store.
mhm,
I made her I went and paid and had a big sign so that when she went into her solarium, sunroom, she put this sign out that told everyone, stay out, leave her alone, that she was allowed to have 30 or whatever minutes she put on there to leave her alone. That was her time. And
mhm,
it was her first step in learning how to take time for herself.
mhm,
She was 55, I think, and just learning how to take at least 30 minutes to herself.
mhm,
That was her first step. She was allowed at least 30 minutes a day of no interruption
mhm.
to enjoy that sunroom that her husband actually built for her, but she never got to enjoy. So even if it's a little step like that,
Mhm,
start there. Take that 30 minutes back.
mhm,
Start taking things back. Start putting your boundaries up.
mhm,
Step over this line. And if you have to draw that line again and remind them, then do it. If you got
mhm,
to draw it again, do it. Because you've let them, most people have let people just bombard them.
mhm.
So you might have to teach them and show them that line more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now taking this time and drawing this line, and give to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would tell them.
And another thing that I think women, we as women do, is we compare ourselves.
Yes.
With others. We do that way too much.
We shouldn't compare ourselves with anybody else. Nobody else like us.
Yeah. Everybody is different.
Everybody. We're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, otherwise we'd look like clones walking around.
Yes.
You know, we're all uniquely different.
Mm-hmm.
We're all energy, and we all resonate at a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to be like somebody else or be compared to somebody else, you know, no, we're on a different frequency. Not even twins resonate at the same, you know,
Mm-hmm.
identical. You don't want to. Why do you want to be like somebody else?
Yeah.
Be you, but be the better you.
Mm-hmm. The best version of yourself.
Yeah, if you're idolizing somebody else, then you know what? Find out what it is you idolize in them.
Mm-hmm.
Figure it out, because it's obviously something you're lacking in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and find it in yourself.
Yeah.
And develop that.
Mm-hmm.
Develop that in you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Usually when you compare to someone, it's because that's something that you think you're missing in yourself. So instead of comparing to someone else, you have to find that inside yourself.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I suffer from depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so many times I've suffered from depression. Everybody suffers from depression. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna, if somebody says no, I'm gonna be calling you out.
Mm-hmm.
We all do at different times. We
Yeah.
get that human emotion, that human feeling takes over,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we get all fogged up and we get all poof.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can be chemically based that starts it, you know, the human body, hormones and all, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And it's hard to get out. And this is my call to women, okay?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what age. Don't beat your friends up.
Mm-hmm.
Help them find that good thing in them.
Mm-hmm.
Know it. If you're their friend, you know it, and promote it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We women are professionals at beating ourselves and each other up.
Mm-hmm.
We're horrible at that. Don't do it. Help each other up.
Mm-hmm. We need to remember we're all sisters here.
Yes. Yes. We're
Mm-hmm.
all, I mean, yeah. Females, we create life inside our bodies.
Mm. That's so powerful. And sometimes we don't think about that.
Yes.
Yes.
How incredible is that?
Yes.
Why are we beating each other up?
Yeah.
I don't get, you know, it's amazing. And then we, you know, and with the Selfaholic, the podcast, one of the things I'm really trying to go for here is, instead of repairing women when they're older,
Mm-hmm.
is helping these young ladies out to
Mm-hmm.
themselves and have a really awesome base, have a path to walk on that is of pure energy, of true purpose. They
Mm-hmm.
go out whole, not broken, out looking for someone to fix them, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how you get in trouble, was when you're going out looking for a mate or go out looking for something to complete you, to fix. I want them to go out whole, complete, happy,
Mm-hmm.
on their path, be it career, be it children, and a relationship, knowing that they are a beautiful, incredible soul.
Mm-hmm. I would have loved to have that, when I was younger, because I think as a young woman, when you're in your early 20s, you're still trying to figure out who you are. And you get confused because you want to fit in. And it's like there is lots of things going on. And I would have liked to have your podcast when I was young.
Me too. Again, I was supposed to have books I read,
Mm-hmm.
live in an area where the books were shared. One of the first books I ever read, and I have continued to always hand it out to beginners, is The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. If anyone listening feels like they're a kindergartner starting out with raising energy and learning, that is the first book I always start people out on.
What is the name again of the book?
The Celestine Prophecy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
It's interesting because it's told as a fictional story, and he has multiple. It goes on to other Celestines, and they're all adventures. But what each book does is it teaches you how to raise your energy level.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
But it tells it through story, so that you're reading an adventure. By the time you're done, you don't even realize that you have raised your energy level so high. And it's incredible that how he did it. Trust me, his guides and everyone had taught him how to do and that's one of the books, and that's somebody I've got on my list here to I want to interview hopefully soon, and bring him to this younger group because they don't know him, and I really want to bring him into it because he can teach them and his book, because it's so easy to read. You literally pick it up, consume it overnight,
Wow.
and next day you walk out seeing energy glowing objects. It changes your complete energy around you, how you see it. I call, people say, oh, there's no such thing as vampires. I'm like, oh no, vampires exist. They're called energy vampires.
Oh yeah.
They're people that come and they attack you and drain the energy from you, because that's how they replace their energy. This teaches you how to block that, how to keep your high. I remember I read his book, and then I went and saw him and met him. And I remember I went in early the next day to work, and I had a manager who just had the biggest chip on her shoulder. She was the first female, a Black female in her position. So she wanted to show, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I really, she was a really good person, but she was out to make herself. So, unfortunately, it just made her an aggressor, very aggressive. And she came at me, well, I want to get there. And I just stood there from what I learned from him. And I just stood there. And she came at me, and she just looked at me because I put out this thing like, I am not going to take this.
Yes.
Right? I am not going to let you drain me.
Yes.
She came only so many feet to me, and then her eyes got all wide, and she stood and looked at me, and she turned around and walked away.
Wow.
And I went, yep, all right. And I learned right there and then, I'm not going to let anybody do it again.
Yes.
And it was she couldn't come down. My energy was so high. I was putting it out there that it repelled her. The light repelled the dark, dark energy. And I was like, and it was interesting because it changed how she and I communicated. We actually learned how to talk, actually, instead of her barking orders at me, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
I would go into her office to do something, and I'm like, how are you? And she actually would change and actually have a conversation. So it was interesting that's when I learned, by changing my energy.
Yes.
It changed her energy and how she dealt with me.
Yeah.
And then it changed how she changed her energy now, actually dealing with other people in the department. And it helped her department actually get better.
Mm-hmm.
So everything she was bitching and complaining about was actually because of her negative attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
And
people can. Yeah, people can have an influence in other people's around, right? Like the energy of one person can influence the energy of the other people, right?
yes, exactly. You know, you can't change somebody else. The only person you can change is yourself.
Yes.
But sometimes by changing yourself, it changes the energy of the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you the higher your energy raises, it either repels the lower energy or it starts to raise their energy,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what they choose to do.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I need to read that book because sometimes I feel that I'm a very sensitive person and I pick up energies from people
You're
and
an
I need
empath.
to clean myself after that. So that would
Yes.
be good to know how to protect myself from that type
Yes.
of people. Yeah.
Because you just, you know, and it's done in a loving way. That's what I
Mm.
also love about it. It's not done in a negative way. It's done in a loving way.
Yeah.
Again, be selfish on yourself. Say, sorry, I can't do this. I need my own energy.
Yes.
If I'm going to get by, I need my own energy.
Yes. I love that.
You know, so yeah.
Thank you, Monica. Well, tell us where people can find you.
They can find me, well, like I said, Selfaholic is, as you know, just coming out with a few episodes. And I am launching selfaholic.tv soon.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they can email me at Monica Barnes 24 at Yahoo.
Okay. I'm going in the description in on this episode. In the description, I can put your details
Yes.
so that people can find you
Yes, they
and
can.
go and check out her podcast, Selfaholic. I was listening to the episodes that you already have. They're great, and I'm sure that loads of women will find it very useful and helpful and very inspiring and motivational. Thank you, Monica. I'm very grateful for having you here and very honored.
Thank you. So am I.
And talk to you guys in the next episode.